You were talking about money, right?
Separate yourself widely from the pack moving forward. That's something that you would be willing to have a discussion about.
Because they didn't get it.
They
were
probably
like,
didn't get it. Yeah.
To follow up with your clients, to generate more leads. You know what I mean?
Always check to make sure you're recording.
The record, yeah.
I clap and I need to start over and all that jazz.
Oh, Lord.
Yep. We're going 5, 4, 3. Welcome back to another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are powered by ReviewMyMortgage.com, the largest index of mortgage programs nationally. And today I've got someone that I actually just met yesterday on the show and couldn't help but ask and get him here. He has been a real estate coach. He's been in real estate. He's also been in the title business and now entrepreneur and tearing it up. Jon Storey, what's up, dude?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good.
So yesterday, or day before yesterday, I walked into a preferred realtor's office that we work with and came across this guy that was cussing up a storm and spitting straight knowledge. And I couldn't help but interject and give a little bit of my 2 cents to add to what you were saying. And after I left there, I went and looked you up. And I went, holy shit, he knows what he's talking about. He knows who he is, what he's going to do, and where he wants to be in the end. And I wanted you to share some of that with our listeners. So, Jon, where do you come from? Where did you start? What's the deal?
Man, I don't know, man. That's a long story.
Hell,
right?
well, I mean, sum it up because
Born in North Dakota, moved to
Okay.
Utah, lived in Utah most of my life. Little different on how the aspect is there now, but they're a big Mormon industry.
absolutely.
Right? And so when I went to high school, it's political, man. I mean, they say politics are how they are now, but it was then there too. So became a long distance runner, ran against the clock. Clock's the only thing that's going to beat you.
Wow.
So we were state champs, had college scholarships across the nation to run. I also had my stepdad and my mom at the time. There's a story with that. They were going to pay all my housing, all the school that wasn't taken care of. And when I was 3 days after I turned 18, I packed all my shit, walked the fuck out, and said, I'm just going to do it alone.
Okay.
So walked out, turned down my scholarships with all these schools that had been recruiting me for years, just said I didn't want to do it anymore.
Just didn't want to do it anymore.
It just wasn't a passion of mine. You know,
Okay.
I mean, some people, you look at the guys who are like the high school quarterbacks
Yeah.
or any of that, they still live in those dreams, right? They show up and they're, I was a high school quarterback, whatever. Or, I played D1 ball. Well, who cares? At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's like the people that go to the gym that are so fixated on their body. And when you're 50, no one gives a fuck that you have abs.
You're correct.
And my wife knows. I've done shows. I've done all stuff. I've gotten in shape. I thought she was going to kill me on my last one, but...
But I
So we
mean,
don't do it anymore.
just what you're saying right there,
Yeah.
in essence, has a lot to do with discipline and your
Right.
ability to
see
focus.
beyond.
Absolutely. So
People get fixated.
and they also get distracted.
I think long-term, not short-term.
I agree with that 100%.
And I think most people in life do. So then fast forward, I'm going through college and I've got a couple semesters left. I clipped the first year of the program for the CRT, which is a certified respiratory therapist.
Okay.
Going to be a respiratory therapist. Find out they're only going to make $100,000 a year. Said, fuck that, I'm out.
Okay.
So I decided to get into the title industry. I'd already, prior to that, started building homes since I was 12.
Okay.
So stepdad.
So
went through
you were around it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I built,
gotcha.
framed, cleaned up the job sites.
Yeah.
It was a family-owned business. I did all their books, so my sister and I would sit across from each other, and we'd do all their accounting so we could give it to the accounting, learn the trades of that, like, how much money you factor in making off a home, what is 3% commission,
Sure.
what do you do on the resales, what do you do on that? So, I learned all those aspects. I learned the mortgage side of stuff, how they do financing, how they do it. It's a young age, right?
Yeah.
But it's crazy to me. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 12. Beyond working in construction, when it snowed, I'd go door to door and knock on people's door and tell them I'd shovel their driveway for $10.
I love it. And at that age, did you really know that entrepreneur is what it was that you were actually doing? Because a
No.
lot of folks like myself, same thing, selling things to make money,
Right.
to go and buy what I wanted, because the other kids had it and I couldn't afford it, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
And then come to find out years later, I'm an entrepreneur.
Right. Well, it's kind of like you look at young kids. I look at we've got 3 beautiful kids, and I look at my daughter, and she's almost 5'4" at 11, and she's our tall, dangly giraffe, but she's really good and dedicated to dance. She's had a different story. My daughter, Savannah, she's just a spunky, sassy little shit. And then my son, he's an asshole like his dad. But he's got the tenacity that I know he's going to be an athlete because he'll take your head off.
I love it.
And you can tell in kids right away the type of demeanor they're going to have, but a lot of people don't pay attention to that.
I'll agree.
And so, as I grew up, I would say that one of the best things, and, for my stepdad, just so you guys know, with people that have a checkered past, as I was a little younger, he used to beat the shit out of me, and my mom watched it and didn't do anything about it.
Okay.
So I don't really talk to my biological mother anymore. So if you see him on social and you see somebody I call my mom, that's my stepmom. She's been around with me for 3 years. Just recently, a couple months ago, my stepdad committed suicide. We rekindled our relationship after 13 years of not talking. I told my wife, I'm just going to go on a plane. I'm going to fly up there. I'm going to knock on the door, and I'm going to forgive him, because I think most people, this is probably the most important thing that I've done in my life, we carry around crutches as like a badge of honor to say, I've been through this. I can't tell you how many people were like, oh, I'm a single mom. Like I had some chick the other day messaging me about doing real estate. She started immediately with, well, I'm a single mom, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude.
Is that what defines you?
You just define who you are.
Right.
Well, so I have 3 kids. My 2 youngest are with my wife now, and my oldest I've had full custody of since she was a baby.
Okay.
Right? Her biological mother passed away almost 2 years ago now too. But with that situation, her she watched her mom get arrested, almost drowned in a pool, sleeping from couch to couch because her mom was a prostitute to pay bills. Then finally got full custody. But we don't use that as a crutch.
Some don't use that as a crutch.
And as of me being a full-time single dad, I never posted out there like I know what I bring to the table and all that. It's just, I think everybody is so fixated on a mindset that, like, on social media, I know we were talking about social the other day, is that, when I get on podcasts, I just say it how it is. On social, I don't put my drama out there. Why do I need to? Some people think like, oh, I need to tell people about that I had to go to the hospital, or I had to do this, or I'm sick, or I've got a cold. Like, dude, no one cares. Like, at the end of the day, if people are doing social, find out what people want to know about you. And that's the content you put out there.
See, and I'm a huge fan of that 100%. Right. And I think I mentioned it while we were there a couple of days ago, that I grew my business, started my business from social media in 2012, and have been able to utilize the autopilot residual to build teams and all that good stuff through that. And I guess some of the things that you had mentioned line up, and some of the things that you had mentioned, I don't know if it's a different perspective of what I have going, because I believe that people out there 100% want to know who you are, want to see what you're doing, but they also want to see those failures. They want to see, and it almost makes you human, if that makes sense.
Talk about them all the time.
Okay.
Talk about them all the time. How, I fell on something every day.
Likewise. Absolutely.
That's how you learn. That's how you adapt. When I first opened my business, I lost $14,000 my first week, but when you drain everything to build everything and walk away from a really high paying job, and now you're believing in yourself, right? Sure. Max out all your credit cards. It's funny, when I get on stage, like where you saw me, I was just doing a little impromptu, but when I get on stage, I tell people, like, look, dude, 3.5 years ago, my wife, I didn't tell her because we had 3 months from our son being born. Now she knows the story, to where I told her, I said, hey, we can't really, let's hold back on the house cleaners for a little bit. Yeah. Like, can you just help out while I get through this stuff? She didn't know that we only had $300 in our bank account.
Right. And
the house cleaner was going to take 120 of that. So we only had 180 until I had a flow of money coming through.
Gotcha.
And we already had all these bills. We had all this stuff coming through. And I launched it, and I had the nest egg of the 14 to be like, I'm good for a while. And then I lost it in a week just like that.
Yeah.
And so
what was that like?
Well, I think people in that situation would panic.
Absolutely.
They probably
fold.
They would have gone to their employer, said, I need this, asked for a signing bonus, which I could have done. And I said, this is where I will define my legacy. To where everybody's backs up against the wall, and you have 2 options. You can fold, crumble, go back to what you were doing, or you can step forward and realize the reason that I'm going to be successful is I got 3 littles, soon to be 3 at that time, that are going to look up to me for the rest of my life. How do I, as a father, tell my kids to go do stuff? And I think this is very important to parents, because we got some soft-ass kids out in the world nowadays.
I agree 100% with that.
And when I look at it that way, I say, look, I said, here's the fashion. I can't look at my kid to go do more if I'm not going to.
Almost the same aspect that I relay when it comes to leadership.
Correct.
you've got to be in the trenches or have been in the trenches and not be scared to go back to the trenches if you're going to be a leader.
Well, you have to show. You got to lead by example. I have people that'll reach out to me and, I talk about their business and I said, well, what do you do with your client? Like, so you're telling your team to go do all these things, but yet you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And you wonder why they're not doing it.
Right.
See, with my clients, I lead by example. I do all the stuff. I'm up early. I do the things that I need to do. This morning I already did a coaching call before I got here, and I was up at the crack of dawn doing it, right? And I just think people get so fixated on just a simple life. I live a very, very simple life now, but I do very well.
Sure.
Right? And I thought back in the day that making 25 grand a month was life.
That was the tits.
Well,
Yep.
25K a month gets you out of the rat race. I think that's the golden ticket of 25K, 300,000 a year will get you out of any rat race.
Yeah.
To where you can look at things, buy things, go on a little nicer things, nicer cars, nicer houses.
And put yourself in a position that the future looks bright, if that makes sense.
To reinvest and put money into other things.
Yeah.
And, but I just think most people, man, they're scared. And I'm like, what are you scared of? Like, you're already, people that go to a job that are already paying them $25 an hour, you can already make 25.
Right.
That company's willing to pay you 25.
Yep.
Which means they're making at least 2 to 3 times the amount of money that you're paying it. So if you love your job, and I have people all the time, well, I love my job. Well, then go open up your own company and have your own job. And I guarantee you'll make 3 to 4 times the amount of money. Pick
and
one.
you'll probably love working harder for yourself than you will for somebody else.
Well, you'll see the income.
Absolutely.
Like for me,
it may not be right away, guys. Disclaimer, it may not be right
Takes a
away.
minute.
Yeah, it takes a minute sometimes, unless you're inventing something. Even still, that may take a minute. So yesterday, or whenever the hell that was, there was something that I mentioned to these newer to the business agents that you mentioned that caught me by surprise, and it immediately grabbed my attention, which was, where are you from the last time that I visited or the last time that we spoke?
Right.
And damn near all of them were in the same position that they
Right.
were in. And you basically said, you're just not doing anything.
Right.
And that seems to be the MO or the actions of most people in any sales position that aren't being successful.
Correct.
Right? So that being said, can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I come in here and I do these events and I tell people, I have success stories. And when you look me up, you see I have clients tell me, yeah, I do this stuff. I'm doing 28 million, 30 million, 40 million, 50 million, 100 deals a year, whatever it is. But they're committed to their success, right? And that particular group, great group, the greatest thing they have in common, they're consistent, right?
Yeah.
On social, doing stuff. It's just their content is driving away business.
Right.
So I told them that last time, stop doing this, stop doing this. Well, they don't want to listen. That's why your bank account hasn't grown.
Right.
See, I go, and when somebody tells me to change something or change some things up, I do it. Because the people I'm taking advice to have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Correct. And they wouldn't be wasting their breath.
They wouldn't, but they know when they tell me to do something, I do it.
That, and what I've also noticed, and it's the concept of getting into different rooms. My goal is to get into different rooms that I wouldn't have been in before, to share to the melting pot. Why? Because somebody successful, they actually do like to share their stories.
Yeah.
We like to toot our horn every once in a while, but it's at the cost or at the potential of that information getting to somebody and them actually doing it, and a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, seeing them and going, all right, they listened. That's a good feeling to me. Now at the point where I'm making money, I'm not going to say autopilot, nor am I anywhere close to done, but that is a great feeling to me when I see someone in 6 months do what I tell them to do, and they're successful, or they're seeing success, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like we, it's funny you say that, but what I practice is what I preach, okay? And what I preach is what I practice. So it's the same.
I like that.
I think a lot of people say, do as I say, but not as I do. There's a lot of people in the world, right? But I like to roll it both ways. I like to take myself a position of what am I going to learn from myself, and a position of what am I going to teach myself.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people, they get all this information and they don't really know what to do with it. And just start with one, the reason I'm good at what I do is you admitted it. You looked me up. You researched me. You sent me a friend request. I didn't send you a friend request. So when you're in sales, that's called the process of elimination. You build the tribe that wants you to win.
Right.
See, the problem with most people is they want to be friends with everybody.
Right.
Because you look online where people are like, oh, they get all these likes and they get all this engagement. Dude, I've done the Instagram. My buddy runs a thing. I wrote a course on it, like the do's and don'ts, buying followers, buying whatever it is, buying engagement, just to show people this is not what you do, because people can read through it, right? Authenticity will make you richer than anything else. Like,
Absolutely.
and me being the way that I've been now over the last little bit, do I ruffle feathers? Yes. But the reason you sought me out and the reason I'm here, right, is because we are like-minded. I'd rather grow with like-minded people versus people that are weak as fuck and always have an excuse of why they can't do something. Like, I've had people, like, just recently, just from that place where we were just at, they cancel, well, I'm doing this and I'm a mom and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, is that what you're going to tell your fucking kid? You're going to wake up in the morning and be like, hey, I'm going to be lazy as fuck. I'm your mom, I'm your kid. I'm making excuses. But by God, I'm going to make it to the gym and post a selfie and a story that I'm here.
Right. I mean, it's
and you wonder why your DMs blow up with a bunch of thirsty fucking dudes or a bunch of thirsty fucking chicks.
Yeah.
Striking that thing, right?
Intent, in my opinion. Their intentions, even more so, the purpose. You've got to have a purpose behind whatever your actions are that fuels everything else. In my opinion, and I've talked about it with a lot of other people, I don't care what drives you, what your purpose is. For me, in the beginning, it was proving my dad wrong, if that makes sense. And I said, I don't
most
give,
people do that.
There you go. And I tell people now, I don't give two shits if you're doing it to prove somebody wrong, show someone up, whatever it is, take it and add more fucking logs to the fire.
Right.
So
I did the same thing. I think when I started my company, and I've even told my wife that I was just trying to prove everybody wrong that I can do it. And I said, why am I doing that? Like, that's stupid. Like, I don't give, like, my wife, she knows me. God bless her, because sometimes
God bless all the wives.
First, when we came out, she was just like, is he really like that? And I'm like, yeah, I just don't give a fuck, you know? And she's like, and it's just what it is, you know? And you teach your kids that way, and then she laughs because my son's like that, because he's just me in a sense. And then my daughters are stronger in that aspect, you know, because they lead to see that their dad's that way. But society is hard.
yeah,
Society is hard for people that are always trying to fit in or trying to have the friends. I'd rather have a couple of good friends.
yeah.
We used to have parties at our house and barbecues, and 50, 60, 70 people would show up. Then when you open up your own company, you really see who your friends are.
That's very true. That's very true.
And then now that you're successful, a lot of those people are coming back saying, hey, man, can I pick your brain?
Well, first they turn into haters.
Oh, bro, they always haters.
First
They're
they
always
turn
a
into
hater.
haters.
They were a hater when they were still coming to the barbecue.
Yes.
It was just free food and free drinks. You just didn't really know at that level
Not
until
yet,
you start doing
right.
your own shit.
Then they turn into fans.
Right.
Once you're still doing what you set out to do, if that makes sense. Because most people, in my opinion, have a tendency to lose track because they can't be consistent with anything.
Well, most people are just talkers.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build that. Like, my wife knows when I do something, I'm going all in. Like, we just started investing into a transportation company.
Okay.
I woke up one day and I'm like, I'm going to go do this. And she's like, okay. And, you know, obviously she doesn't know. She just swipes the damn card. She never knows what's in the bank account, but there's plenty of money in there. But
I used to pay attention to the
so
money
I
in
don't
the account.
anymore.
Now
Man,
the wife
I don't.
does.
But so I said, I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna buy my stepmom, a new car. I'm gonna take her car. I'm gonna put it in here with this investment. I said, I just bought you a new car. She's like, well, would you give me? I'm like, well, happy Mother's Day. I just got you a brand new loaded Escalade, murdered out, black.
I love it.
Dope as fuck.
Yes.
But she had a 2021 Yukon XL Denali, fully loaded too. It was brand new. We had the first one in the state, right? Because my buddy hooked it up. So I'm like, all right, we'll put both these in here just to test them. Because worst case, we sell them and I get all my money back. Because we're net profit on them. Great.
Correct.
Right?
What a market.
You got to make
what a market.
You got to make some smart moves. I think some people don't leverage their funds correctly. Like, you got to start with small wins versus huge wins.
I'll take it a step further. I think people don't make smart moves because they haven't failed enough. They haven't made
take
enough
advice from the wrong
moves.
people.
That
So I've been
too.
following this kid. I read a book called Who Not How.
Okay.
Right? So we negotiated a fee. Probably the best book that I've ever read because it really taught you how to leverage people correctly in the right way to make it to where both parties can win. And so we go into there. We've got the Denali renting for $150 a day, other car renting for $55. I asked people the other day, which one's going to rent more? And they're like, oh, the $55. It never rented. So I just called my buddy at the dealership and I said, I'm going to sell it. What are you going to give it to me? So he gives me a check. It's in our mailbox at home. Got to go get that and cash it. But the Denali has already made me $3,000 this month. Okay, so now I take that, and the way I factored, I said, look, it makes the car payment that I have. And then the other cars that I own from my parents that I bought, it makes their car payment. So now I'm net profit how much money? So now what am I going to do with that net profit money? So then I go to the guy and I said, what else can we do to where I can make an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a month? He's like, oh, dude, if we got a party bus, it'd be great. So I said, great. So I go to her. I'm like, we just bought a 25-person party bus with a stripper pole in the middle.
I love
and she
it.
just looks at me because, of course, I got to throw on the stripper pole, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what's it going to return? I said, well, here's the greatest thing on what I negotiated. I said, they take care of all the stuff. They take care of the licensing. They take care of the fee. He just needed liquid capital and then my marketing expertise because I'm the who to the how and we'll build it and we'll get it rented out. Well, see, now he's got skin in the game. I got skin in the game. My percentage on our split went up higher by 20%. So now I'm net profiting more here. And this, and she's like, how do you figure that all out? I'm like, I don't know.
In addition to the smaller concept, you still have that asset that no matter what, it may depreciate, but those really don't. Those really don't. You can go in and rehab those things and do whatever the hell you want to.
And then,
so yes, I mean, you in that instance are able to see past the right now.
well, I think that if people, where you hit the nail on the head, if people became more consistent in what they were doing and really were focused on fixated on what they're doing in their business. I see so many people that are like, oh, I own 5 businesses or whatever. I mean, you stick to mortgages, right? You own some other stuff.
So something that caught me by surprise, I think you mentioned that you taught yourself how to build websites, something like that. I overheard on a podcast that you were on.
When I was broke, yeah.
Okay.
Teach my own goddamn self.
I wasn't broke at the time, but I did teach myself how to build websites. Found a partner in Utah who's freaking awesome at what he does. We built reviewmymortgage.com in essence.
That's a who not how move.
Absolutely. And it is before its time. There's plenty of things out there in regards to mortgage, but there's nowhere anyone can go to seek all the mortgage programs, all the nuances that lenders know based on their credit, location, all of that good stuff. So we just threw $180,000 into the new website, and it'll be launching in the next couple of months. And that's going to be the meal ticket that, in my opinion, still to this day, you can work and make great money, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, but you still won't get rich that way. You've got to put things in other things. You got to leverage all day long. And I believe your mindset's similar to mine. You see leverage everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of stuff. I do and I don't. So let me just give you guys the full of where I'm at in my life, right?
Go ahead.
I could grind like everybody says to grind. I could do what all these big entrepreneurs do where they're constantly doing stuff, constantly traveling. I've been traveling a lot at the beginning. I'm going to take the next couple of months off. I got a couple things that I'll go do, but find the point where you have enough income a month to be able to live your best life. And it's got to, guys, it's got to at least be more than $35,000 a month. Okay? I'm going to tell you that right now. To where you can work a few hours a day, have your stuff on autopilot, to where you look me up, you could see me everywhere. You Google my name, I'm everywhere. Yeah. You Google top 50 real estate coaches in the nation, I'm on that list. But what I don't have in common with those guys on the list, I don't pay for publications. I don't pay for ads.
And you've done that all organically.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, and what's funny is I Googled your name, and just like you mentioned, it speaks volumes, or it at least tells the story
right. Yeah, no pun intended.
of you, right?
Right.
You do the same thing with my name, and I'm competing with doctors, attorneys, things like that, but I'm still on the list. And then once you get to that, it's like similar to yours, where here's my content, here's where you can find me, here's my value proposition, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And I think most don't focus on that at all. They don't see that as valuable when we're in a digital age.
We're running, I always think it's funny because I look at other coaches and hopefully they take some fucking notes on this shit. You have absolutely no value as a real estate coach or a coach in general the moment you tell your clients to go run ads to get leads, buy fancy-ass CRMs.
Sure.
Okay? And cold call people you don't know. That is 100% telling your clients. Everybody listen to this. I don't give a fuck who it is on the coach. You can get up on stage next to me. I'll make you walk out with your tail between your legs. You are the ones that destroyed the real estate community. You are the ones because you tried to make it all autopilot. Our business has always been 100% relationship motherfucking driven. Yep. And I hope this gets out to all you big coaches that think you're fucking cool because you're collecting and you're doing well. I would agree. But a lot of you are getting paid by these big CRMs to sell the CRMs. A lot of you guys were getting paid by Zillow to sell Zillow, do that shit. And then they screwed everybody over. the factor, and now you guys are all coming around. I see you guys about social media, about all this stuff, the shit that I've been talking about for a decade.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you try to be like, oh yeah, we should be doing this. We should, and you look at our community now, it's like, oh, we need to be doing reels and GIFs. Do you see an Andy Frisella or an Ed Millette or any of them having a GIF in their fucking story?
Not one.
Do you see them doing stupid ass reels? No. Do you see them doing TikTok where they're going with their hands looking like you got Tourette's? No.
Right.
They talk in their content.
Right.
And they take that content and they put it viral, just like my buddy Brad Lee does, or my other good friend John Gafford. I made a point the other day. I said, your network is your net worth. And I was talking to this realtor that I signed for one-on-one. I said, you know the difference? I said, see all these messages you're not doing? I said, I can call a guy more successful than you'll ever meet here in town. And I guarantee you, I call him and he will answer. And I FaceTime him, and it was my buddy John Gafford. And he's like, what's up, bro? What's up? And he's like, dude, sorry I missed your call the other day. I was on a plane when you called, so I couldn't answer, but I texted you back. And I'm like, yeah, you always get back to me. I said, but he knows I'm not just calling him
For bullshit.
to call him.
That's right.
I was calling to make a point. I just called and said, hey, dude, I had a great event today, and it just made me really realize that I appreciate you and the values that you brought to me. And he's at his son's lacrosse thing. He's like, yeah, homie. He's like, I got you. He's like, I'm just proud of you. Every time, like when I bought my first NSX and I posted it, within a couple minutes, he called me. He's like, congrats, you earned it. When I bought my Lamborghini, within a couple minutes, he called me. He's like, congratulations. Because he loves the victories, right? Just like I love his victories.
And I think a lot of folks see that as gloating, putting stuff out there so that you can show what you have. It's a little bit of that.
No.
But at the same time, it's for you, for me, for anyone that does do that and earn their ass off to do that. That's like a milestone. It helps us continue to drive further and more. And you see that and you can go, okay, that's possible. Now what else is possible?
Well, I don't think of it as gloating. I would say back when I was trying to compete against everybody and try to justify me to do something, then yes, it would be a dictation of gloating, right?
Yeah. I've gone through it. I can't say we've all. I've gone through it.
I'm just at a different stage in my life. I just don't really give a fuck, right? And I really adapted that. And the way that I look at it is that why would I put that kind of car on my vision board? So I see real estate agents or people every year doing vision boards, right? They cut out shit they want to do, or most of them is traveling a car and looking a certain way. They don't get the car. They do a weak ass trip, and then they don't even. And then like the mindset of their body, they don't get it there because dude, it's hard. I've done shows. I mean, I remember she's meal prepped and done all my shit for how many years, and now I'm just like I just don't want to do that anymore. Now I think she's happier because I'm playing a lot of golf with some guys. And I'm not on the show quality where like we can go somewhere we can have cocktails or drink, But when I wanted a supercar. I wanted one.
It's goals.
I mean, it's not so much that, but like, it's setting a precedence when I go back to being a father. I'm dropping my kid off to school in a Lamborghini, or my other car that I have that's a Range Rover. Right, it's my other daily driver, and I got them to match. They're both white with black.
That's
right?
dope. Yep.
But my daughter one time, so just so you understand why people don't make those moves and they have haters. My daughter one time, she came home and she's like, Dad, because I was like, I'm taking you to school. She's like, no, I'm going to ride a bus. I'm like, no, I'm fucking taking you to school. And because I like those little moments, right?
Absolutely.
But she's like, well, can we just take the other car? I don't want to take the Lamborghini. I'm like, why would we want to take the Lamborghini? She goes, well, kids were making fun of me because they're like, well, you're a spoiled little rich girl. And I said, you know what you tell those fucking punks? Say, I'm sorry your dad didn't level the fuck up.
I love it. I love it.
And now, I said, and I taught her, this was a life lesson. I said, if you start changing your life off people's opinions, even though you enjoy it, baby, you'll never be living your life.
Absolutely.
And now, so she's proud. When she did a dance, this was crazy, guys. I'm just telling you guys my life experience of not just being successful, what you do with your success, of the importance of it. So post that, we have it, and my daughter's going to her first dance. Now, I'm a little heartbroken because it's our first not daddy-daughter dance, but thank God I got another little girl I'll be doing that shit with, and my wife will be doing the son and mom dance, right? So I'm like, well, that's cool. I'm like, just call my buddy now that we're, we do stuff with business partners on our aspect on stuff, and I'm hoping to do more with him. But I'm like, hey, dude, I want to rent your party bus for some 11-year-olds that are going to their first school dance. So we show up, we get the party bus. Macy invites some of her friends, and the parents are like, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. I can't believe. I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, this is why society has weak ass fucking kids.
Right.
You're in your mind thinking, I'm not going to spend $250, $300, $400 for a memorable night.
That only happens once. Yeah.
Correct. I'm like, I'm going to make it epic. So this is how I live rent free. I say anybody that builds a business live rent free. So my daughter gets to the dance, gets out, and she can hear kids. Oh, of course, it's Macy's Story. And then after all the kids want to sit in the bus, she's like,
Yeah,
"You
I mean,
can't." The boys are like, "Can we go for a ride?" Nope, can't go.
sit here. Was that Forrest Gump?
But
Sorry.
my kid, and we live in a good neighborhood. Obviously, we have their kids. People got money there, but my kid was the only one that got dropped off in a party bus. So when I tell people, say like, "Why would you buy a Lamborghini?" Well, if your truck, your Ford F-250 that's dope as fuck is parked next to my Lamborghini, who are they going to pay attention to?
Yeah, it's
Lamborghini.
obvious. It's
It's a marketing piece. It is a marketing piece. It's a marketing tool. So my wife recently, I wanted to sell it. She's like, yeah, it's not going to happen. So we're keeping it.
So you know what? Let's shift gears. You mentioned marketing piece, and I myself pride myself in being a great marketer for many years.
Right.
I took risks on, instead of going $3,000 billboard, I'll put a $3,000 wrap on my truck and take it anywhere.
That's what I would do.
And that worked
And
for
then
years.
I did the billboard.
And then I wrapped, moving trailers for customers and things of that nature. Back in the day, that worked, and people would ask, did it work? And I'm like, you just asked me about it.
Right.
Yes, it
So
worked.
obviously it worked. Just like you looked me up. So
100%,
obviously
it worked. Absolutely. So what do you believe is too far in regards to marketing, or is there a too far? Because for myself, I believe that if you're willing to risk your money, your time, and your effort, you make sure you get something out of it in return. Outlandish sometimes works, but what are your thoughts on that?
Think long term. What are you really trying to accomplish with that? Like you look at anybody that runs ads, buys leads, talk about people just farming a neighborhood, right? You got to understand, like, what's your budget? How long does it typically take? I think people, like I said, working short term, they have anxiety. Like they'll run out of deals. All right, I'm gonna start. All right, let's go run ads so I can get 1,000 people to call me, or that I have 1,000 people, but they're never gonna buy a home because they're all 500 credit scores. They're all tire kickers, right? It's quality over quantity. But the thing of it is, dude, my favorite 2 words when I do my coaching, when I first start with my program, is slow down. You know, don't necessarily be patient. I like how, if you have patience, say patience is a virtue, you'll always be patiently broke.
Yeah, that's so true. Nor am I about to be a doctor.
But the marketing is find out where you make your money and double down on those efforts, like videos, content, posting, engagement, stories, reaction, digital marketing.
Most people, I'll add to what you were saying a moment ago, most people are reactive versus proactive, in my opinion.
But I would talk about that all the time. But also with your marketing campaigns, when I look you up, what do I see about you? Because when you looked me up, you saw me. I got my family. I got my stuff. I've got the podcast I've been on. I've got what I do. I've got my website. I got everything. So I'm virtually everywhere.
Right.
I think the problem is that people, like I ask people, I'm like, what platform? Oh, I'm on Instagram. Well, what about Facebook? What about LinkedIn? What about TikTok if you decide to do videos? And who knows if TikTok's going to be around, because there's been other platforms like that that haven't made it, right? Why? But I always ask people, I said, why aren't you on YouTube? And they're like, oh, no, I don't like it. I'm like, YouTube is the #1 search platform.
Right.
And if you know websites, you should have a Google ClickFunnels site, because that coincides with YouTube. Why? And they're like,
how
why?
else would you
'Cause
capture?
Google owns YouTube.
Absolutely.
And they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. I'm like,
Did you even look it up?
Right. But people
But someone
get
like
scared.
you,
They
someone
get
like
scared.
myself, will not only, and I think, will not only think of the idea and that long term, but you'll also probably do the legwork to do a little bit of research, whether it may take you watching a couple of YouTube videos to formulate your opinion on what your move is on this marketing piece, or this aspect of joining all the platforms just as one. And I've heard people say, no, focus on one and just go all the way in on one. Why would you do that?
Yeah, it doesn't. You have to. It's kind of like if a sports person has they got a big contract. Where does it go? Everywhere. The news, TV, ESPN, websites, social media. Right? They're resting their entire career on one avenue. Now, I would tell people, like in real estate, and I think people have this wrong, is I would focus on Facebook first. And here's the key principles of any marketing. Number 1, it's better relationships. Number 2, you can create a private Facebook group, which is better than any CRM to control your audience.
Sure.
But it's more integrated of telling you what you are. Instagram's Insta famous, right? You get a lot of fake.
You're right.
Fake
Bots
people.
and all kinds of
But here's what I would tell. Here's what I tell anybody that's going into business that has social media. I would tell people to create a target list. This is the biggest moneymaker I did when I was in title and when I opened my business and did all those things. Is that if you have 3,000 Facebook friends, you have 3,000 warm leads of an opportunity every day, you just do nothing with them.
Correct.
Because you're not liking their posts, you're not commenting on it. And it's interesting to me that people, especially in the real estate industry, will still keep putting out certain content and no one likes it, but they'll still do it. Like your audience is telling you, we do not like your shit you are posting, or they don't see it because you've destroyed your algorithms.
Sure.
I listened to somebody the other day, I'm going to drop their name, it's the fucking stupidest shit I've ever heard in my life, saying there's no right time to post on social media. There's not a right time to post on social media. And maybe they listen to this, and I'm going to tell you that's the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my life. Absolutely, yes, there is. You are running a marketing campaign. During the week, when do consumers wake up that are going to go to work that are going to use you to buy and sell home? 6 to 6:30.
Sure.
Start your marketing post there. Doesn't get engagement, comment, resurface it.
Absolutely. And those basic
stories,
concepts
your
still
stories
work.
are a running 24-hour ad. You are running a marketing campaign, but your content's going to dictate that, right? So have hobbies, habits, interests, activities. But when I heard somebody say that, and I'm like, that's the dumbest shit. That's why you've never been successful. That's why you think you have been, but there's not, right? There's a lot of people that say that. There's absolutely. But the main few viewing points of the day are 6:30 in the morning during the week.
Right.
11:45, resurface it right before you go to, because people are going to go lunch, what? Get on their phones, 6:30 at night. We have to, as a business related, depending on any of your businesses, you have to make sure that you hit the high peaks of the time when your consumers are going to be on the phone the most.
No, you're exactly
The
right.
problem is we base our business off when we're on our phone and of convenience.
Convenience. That's what I was going to say. When it's convenient for you, and in my opinion, if you're going to be intentional and you don't want to make the time for it, they have things that you can put it in there and tell it when to post certain things. Now,
you don't
back
wanna do
to
that.
your
That's
back
spam.
to your
That's
point
spam.
about the canned. It has to be in the moment type situation. I believe in that 100%. And a testament to it, I actually took a break from this podcast, and my goal was to take a 2-month break. I only made it a month. So when I met you, it was like, well, shit. All right, I guess we got to fire this thing back up. And my intention was the market's going crazy. I needed to jump back into production and get our branch production up so that I can put myself back on autopilot.
See,
So
if I was to tell you anything, I never put myself on autopilot.
Conceptually.
The verbiage, though, right? So
Yeah,
we're doing a
100%.
podcast. We
Yeah,
never
yeah,
want
yeah.
to tell people you can autopilot anything.
You can't autopilot.
You can't autopilot.
No. You can
I'm in my
delegate,
shit every day.
automate, that kind of
I'm
stuff.
on vacation with my wife at this moment. She's sitting next to me, and I'm doing a podcast. And I have a meeting right after this, and then we'll go enjoy the rest of the day. You know why?
Yeah.
You know why she's cool with it? She likes her $500, $600 fucking dirty golden goose shoes. Okay? She likes her fucking Gucci. She likes her Cartier on her wrist.
Yep.
She likes to be able to swipe that shit when she spends my wife spends and that may not be as much as some. She spends $7,000 to $8,000 a month on her Amex. Because I told her last year, I'm like, babe, you spent like $7,000 a month. You know what her response was?
We got some free flights.
No, you know what she said? Her response, okay. Like nothing beyond that, just okay. And you know what that means well to me is in that mind, the way I took it.
Mama, I made it.
No, she goes, in my mind, she's like, if you're worried about what I was spending, and I wasn't, I just letting her know, like, hey, this is where we're at, because I, include her and stuff.
Sure.
Is bitch gonna make more money then?
Okay. And that makes sense.
But that's what my mentors would tell me.
Yeah.
See, the problem is people will fight, and the reason that people aren't successful, if you're always just worried about the finances, every move you make, you're just trying to pick up pennies.
Yeah.
So with me explaining to her on the transportation stuff, hey, we're doing this, now she's excited about it, right? Because somebody came and picked her up, took her to the airport, she got personally drive, she did that kind of, so she's like, it's kind of exciting, we'll have something we can do. I got another avenue I'm gonna try to close today, but just in this short amount of time, I have $12,000 more a month coming into my revenue, which is $144,000 a year.
Right.
That's more than most people as a whole household make to get combined.
Right.
Here's the thing about the 12,000, that is on autopilot.
Right. Residual.
Well,
right.
because the money that I make is never on autopilot. Now, that's why I read the who, not how.
Okay.
Is find somebody where you can have the avenues of your interests or where you can use stuff, right? This is anybody leverage everything. I think a lot of people think they're a one-man band. leveraging people for stuff when you first start is knowledge. Okay, there's free knowledge out there. There's podcasts like this. There's YouTube. Read a fucking book. Learn from it. Here's the one thing that I will tell people techniques on reading a book. This is the best thing that I do. Read 8 to 10. You know why Andy Frisella has you read 10 pages a day? Absorb the fucking content you read.
Yeah. And
Okay?
relating
Absorb
to
the
that,
content you read.
relating
Put
to
it
that,
into your shit.
I'm 100% ADD, ADHD, so I'm bouncing off the walls.
Right.
I didn't read my first book till I was 22 years old.
Right.
First book I
I've
ever
always read
read was
books.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I'm not joking.
Right.
I didn't read any textbooks, any of that
Right.
stuff. Assigned reading, Cliff Notes. That's me. Internet age. I was getting the Cliff Notes online with Netscape and stuff. But as I moved forward, you're right. Taking bits and pieces of it, if you can't listen to it in an audible, and even still audible, I've got to listen to them 2 and 3 times, which
Right.
that's not a problem to me because I know that I can't grasp it the first, second time sometimes, and I dedicate the time to make that happen so that that stuff sticks.
Well, I think a lot of times, and this is full transparency of like where I would be, as a lot of people will start an activity and they'll get interrupted by their phone or they'll get interrupted by something and they stop. And then they come back to start to do it. Like my integrated training platform that I have, the realtors would be like, why pause it for a minute? And then it started me back at the beginning. Right. Be committed to the task at hand.
Yeah. Focus
If you,
on the one
if you
thing.
learn to be committed to the task at hand, you'll learn to be committed at all the tasks at hand.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Military, they do the same thing. I'm not a military person, but
Right.
by all means, that's just the concept of that. And it resonates and it works. Why does it work? Because we've proven it.
Like I don't make my bed every morning. My wife makes our bed every morning, which that's just something she likes to do. But
Likewise.
I
yeah.
don't make our bed, but that's just something that like she likes to do. And she's a great mom to our kids. And, you know, people have looked at our life where, you know, you talk about a Lamborghini or whatever, but people are like, oh, why do you have a house cleaner? Like, you know, why do you have a nanny? And I'll tell you the funniest reason of why I got a nanny. But it's, people will just be like, well, she's a stay-at-home mom. I'm like, dude, that's the hardest job there ever is known to man. Like, out of
Domestic
respect,
engineer.
like I tell people, man, like, dude, she needs a break. But when I got the nanny, here's where it was in 2020. This is a firm believer on goals and be committed to like personal development of an hour to taking for yourself, whatever it is. I wrote down the things that I wanted to do. I like golf. I like to snowboard. I like hunting, fishing, doing that kind of stuff. You know, traveling, personal just breaks. And I told her, I was like, I don't do any of this stuff. I'm like, so I'm gonna start doing that. So I started playing golf again. I call it whack fuck. But I remember we went on our first trip, and I'm like, I got killed. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I lost like $4,000 gambling on the course. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And she didn't bat an eye, you know. And at that time, we were doing good, you know. But now, like this last month, you know, just betting and having fun with the guys, I won $7,000. I got into a big tournament in the pool, and it based off that, you know. I mean, so I won $7K playing. I'm like, shit, I'm getting better, you know. I mean, you know, things you progress, right?
Right. Well, and I think if we are similar mindset, and I think we're very close, you can't just do something just to do it.
No, I do it.
You
I'm
do it
gonna go
all
into
the
it.
way.
My coach that I hired, we were not on the driving range. He went on the course with me. Why? I'm like, because dude, I'm gonna have shots. The mat's not gonna teach me, right? So now I think I'm playing all this golf. And I remember when I first started playing golf, she didn't really understand because we had been together for lots of years, and I was never playing golf, right? I'd go out with my parents every once in a blue moon.
Sure.
But now I'm consistently doing it. So I'm like, shit, if I want to play golf twice a week and not get bitched at, which she doesn't, right? She still would let me do it. But I remember one time I come and she's like, God, you smell like booze when you get home and you're like stinky. And she's like, does it really take like 8 hours to play golf? I'm like, well, they have this thing called the 19th hole, which is considered the bar. And so we go there and we talk about like all the shit that we need to do. Now
You're
she
so
knows my friends.
transparent. Love that.
Now she goes, she knows my friends. She's been on trips. She knows the degenerates of who we are. That's why she's sitting here smiling.
That's right.
So I'm thinking, I'm like, well, here I am in my mindset. I'm enjoying something. Now, most people would say, well, you make the money. She gets to stay home. She doesn't get to work. She has a, you know, at the time, a house cleaner. We didn't have the nanny. And, you know, we sat down and she was like, I just kind of sometimes just want to go get my nails done, or I want to go, you know, have date night and not have to worry about it, or I want to, you know, go to lunch with my family. And I'm like, and I just don't want to take these 3 fucking kids that follow me everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
I said, well, okay. I said, why don't we go get a nanny? And I'll do it and I don't need an assistant. Like, just so you guys know, I run a huge company by myself. I'm efficient as shit. And like, why don't we just do it for 15 hours a week? I'll allow a budget for that. We pay somebody $15 an hour. I'm cool with that, if you're cool with it. And in her mind, she's like, yeah, I'm winning. I'm going to be able to do this. In my mind, I'm like, I can go play golf twice a week and not get complained at. Because now we're even.
Because mama gets to keep her sanity.
Right.
She gets to keep who she is.
Like when I go do my stuff, she's just like, dude, go do it. I always stay at my buddy Trent's house. He's like my brother. He loves me to death. You know, it's like we're having an adult sleepover. Because, you know, we play, we have a little cocktails, obviously, and then I don't want to drive. And we usually play 2 days in a row when we play. But I'm able to do that with my business.
Yeah.
So can you autopilot? No. Your content will autopilot your business.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, you will have, and I would imagine same thing as you will begin to have people posting on your behalf and tagging you in it. Your wall will end up being you posted something and then someone else is posting other things, closing pictures, congratulations, da-da-da-da-da.
You know my
Hey,
honest
I thought
opinion?
of this. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't add that to my timeline
Why not?
because it's my fucking page.
I get that, but at the same time, but you're also at a different point than most in the sense that
Choose
when
what
someone
you want.
Absolutely.
Choose
when
what you want on there.
someone tags you and it is something relevant to business, you can leverage that because the algorithm will now show more people.
It
and
doesn't
potentially-
actually.
How do you figure?
That does as figure. So you tagged 3 people, right?
Yeah.
You got 16 likes.
Yeah.
I put a post of my wife and I so far today. It's got almost 200.
No, I get that. I get that.
Tagging people, too many people on a post.
Right. Will decrease. Right.
Checking in on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Posting too many times in a day. Posting videos and photos in the same post. Posting too many photos.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple posting. Not being consistent. Kills your algorithms. Why? Facebook considers it spam. So even though you think it's going that way, there's a reason why I built my company successfully organically.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why you look me up. There's a reason why I get hundreds and hundreds of likes organically on Facebook. There's a reason why I became a millionaire off Facebook. Just like when people do live, no one gives a fuck about that. You're not famous. Stop doing that shit. That's why they have stories that only give you 15 seconds, right? But if it's always business related on my timeline, like if somebody sends me a friend request and all I see is business related shit, I'm not going to accept your friend request.
Right.
When they come to mind, they're like, oh, dude, he does quotes. He's got family. He's traveling. He's doing his stuff. Because you know why? Facebook is set up a certain way. If you go to my page right away, it says I'm a real estate coach. Here's my phone number. Here's my website. And I love helping others. If you look at my bio of where it is, it says I just work at this company, not the other 10 brokerages I've been at. It's got my phone number if you want to get a hold of me. If you go to my Instagram, it's the same name. It doesn't say Jon Storey, your real estate coach, just like other realtors will put like your real estate expert San Antonio or Texas. Just like my YouTube, Jon Storey. Just like my LinkedIn, Jon Storey. Just like my TikTok, Jon Storey. Why? That's my brand, motherfucker. It ain't nothing else.
Yeah.
It's not Jon Storey, the guru of real estate. Do you think people look it up and they're like, oh my God, I think John's thing has got to be Jon Storey, the guru? No, dude, they look you up by, like, why would you put something different on a social media platform that's different from your business card?
No, I agree.
Because when you, like, it's like you go and introduce yourself and your handle on Instagram is John the Legend Story Real Estate Coach. So do you address me as John the Story Legend Real Estate Coach?
Not, I mean,
No, you say,
Unless
what's
you
up,
say
John?
sir.
No,
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
you say John.
Yeah.
But see, that's where branding goes wrong. And see, all the techniques I've given you, they're proven that they don't work because your audience is saying, hey, you know, I get that you're, and I love that you put me out. That's fine. But see, the people that don't know that trick, you're just free advertising for me. But only 17 people liked it. You know?
makes perfect sense.
I would have taken that and put it in my stories. Because people watch stories more now than they do posts.
Agree 100% with that.
So if you're trying to, this is for any business person that's listening to me right now. This is where I make my money, is my stories. Content's there just to show people who I am, but I'm consistent in my stories every time. But that's where I get my conversations. You know why? People don't comment to try to have an open conversation. They DM you to have a private conversation now. Right. And the reason is because we got cyber bullies, you know, people that think they're cool, but they just want to be like, hey, I want to know more information. Great, here's more information on me. But that's where I would say, that's where a lot of people make the mistake is, you know, I see in our industry, you know, and now you guys, if you do real estate closings or you have that, that's fine, tag your clients, but let them know and educate them the process of, hey, I'm going to do it. The number one mistake I see people with social media too is that they're like, you tag me in a story and then I'll say I reshare it to my Instagram, which is great, guys. That's a great lead opportunity. And then you reshare it again. Dude, I've already reshared it. You don't need to do it again.
You don't need to do it again.
It's already there. People make that mistake all the time. right?
Yeah.
My wife doesn't listen to me on sometimes. She shares the same fucking story on Facebook and the same on Instagram. She got the same followers and the same friends. Pick one. The master. Mm-hmm. If you notice on my social, if you follow me, I don't have the same content on Facebook and the same content on Instagram. Why? They're two different platforms. Just like YouTube's all video.
Yeah.
When Instagram was built, Instagram was just photos only. Now it's developed into other stuff where stories, Reels, all that kind of stuff. Reels is videos, guys, just so you understand. The only reason that Reels were invented was to compete with TikTok. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that is telling you that Facebook and Instagram are living rent-free. TikTok's living rent-free in their heads because they're trying to find something to compete. Now, do I think Reels are cool? Yeah, but talking to them.
Right.
Explain to people that does stuff.
And you actually mentioned that while in that training class, which was stop doing the pointing stuff. Stop it. And I agree 100% with that.
Yeah.
And why do they get so many views? Because people are simple. I don't know.
They are. Well, it's squirrel. Like, I would say put in like, words that are just, auto-populating across the screen so they can, a lot of people don't open their phone to listen to this stuff, right? Just like when somebody sends me a long text message and it's a voice text message, I don't listen to them.
Right. And
or you send me a voice message on Instagram or, whatever, I don't listen to it. Just type out, dude, if you can't accomplish a sentence in a few words about
text to talk.
I know, I don't even listen to those. If you text to talk to me, I'm not going to listen to it.
You wouldn't even listen to it. It's text. It's text.
No. I'm not taking 45 seconds of my life to listen to your gibberish. Ever. I mean, that's just how I am. That's
text to talk like this.
But
there you go.
But that's
you wouldn't be listening to anything.
No,
you'd be reading it.
I would read it.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
See?
But see, the difference is like people are lazy.
100%.
And you got to know your stuff. Like, dude, I've been studying social media for forever.
Yeah.
And take clients from doing 15 transactions to 100, 5 million to 25 million, 20 million to 50 million. All that kind of numbers. I mean, I got the numbers to back it up, right? My clients had to put in the work, but I understood social media and how it worked and where people lost their audience and spammed their audience. Mm-hmm. So if 16 people loved it, some of the stuff that you may have put out there has shadowed your audience to where they're not seeing it because Facebook recognizes spam. But if you did it correctly, you may have gotten 76.
Yeah.
See, people only look at the 16 or the 20 or the 50 or the 100 or whatever it is. Like a hot chick that posts a selfie, they're going to love it, right? And I look at all these realtors. I'm like, well, how many leads did you get off it? Because when I posted that I was at a seminar and I was doing this stuff, you know how many DMs I got about people and algorithms of people following me and shit like that? You looked me up.
And it goes back to that intention.
Correct.
Lady, you want to go and post a picture of you looking good, that's fine. But know that you did that because you want self-esteem. Right. Or you want something along those lines.
You don't like yourself.
Correct.
You don't like yourself.
If it truly was intended for business, you'd have it to when they click your picture, it takes them straight to a form about you and what you do, and if you'd like my services, put your information in instead of them going to your DM.
Yeah, and I mean, I look back when I did the bodybuilding stuff, like I can't remember the last time I took a picture of myself at the gym. I still go to the gym, but I take pictures of my life. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't tell you the last time I had when I've had my photo shoots when I used to do them and be brick-abbed and everything like that. And I'm like, when I look back at that time when I was doing this and it, obviously opened up my company, but I would have never had the mindset that I had now if I still worked for another company.
No.
But I look back then and I say, like, all the DMs were about, like, what's your meal plan? Where do you work out at? Can I get a session with you? Who's your training? I'm like, I don't make money off that. Mm-hmm. So you guys need to really focus on the conversations you're getting in your DMs, conversations you're getting in your text messages, conversations you're getting on phone calls. And if it's not helping you, stop answering the phone to the certain people, stop answering text messages to the certain people, and stop reacting to DMs.
I like that.
That, number one, that'll get you time back.
Absolutely.
But then they'll take that time. Well, then you'll take time to put it into something else. But see, I made all these mistakes.
Yeah.
And I tell people, don't do these things. And this is where my clients that were doing 5 million, that are now doing 25 million, right? Mm-hmm. That never thought that it would be there. And the reason that they couldn't do the 25 was time, because they kept wasting. I mean, we've got a client, Carmel Nance, that's done it. She'll message my wife or tell them, she's like, I just bought this purse or I just bought these shoes. Like, she didn't look at the price tag. But when you did 5 million in business, only making 100-something thousand, you did it. Now, when she made $500,000 last year, she's like, thank you.
Right. Now, let me ask, have you heard of the focus funnel before, referenced? In essence, it's basically taking everything that you do, which I coach loan officers, agents, the same concept, which is take whatever it is that it takes to be you in a day, in a month, whatever the case, and put it down on paper. And these are the tasks, these are the things that it takes me to make money. And then go through the list and go, okay, what can I automate? What can I delegate? What can I eliminate? and everything left, I've got to do. Is that how you've consistently been able to continue doing what you're doing?
You know, I have 0 employees.
So
You know why?
Why?
Because they're all lazy as fuck.
Well, that's very true. Not all,
Well,
but
yeah. No, yeah. Everybody.
people in general.
Here's
sure.
what I would do. If somebody wanted $4,000 a month, I'd give them $2,000 salary, and they earn the other $2,000.
Right. I said
Most
everybody
people you
has that
sit
way,
across from, they'll be like, "Well, no, I need the 4." Well, then you're fired.
Mm-hmm.
But most people
They
aren't
don't believe
you,
in
and it depends on
themselves
your
to
business,
make that happen.
Customer service, and I wouldn't say everybody's lazy as fuck. I guess I shouldn't have said that, but a lot of people are that I've
They
interviewed.
get it. My listeners are not punks.
All the people that make 20, 25, 30 bucks an hour, you are lazy. I will say that 100%. You never try to do more. And if that offends you, I'm sorry about your problems. You know, it's like my buddy Brad, he always says, you know, why are you so fixated on what this other person's doing and like pinpointing, like you said, haters? That just means like you shouldn't be worrying about what they've done. You be worrying about like,
How can I learn from them?
Why am I hating on this person is because you don't have it.
Right.
So like my focus, I keep it simple, man. I've got my critical tasks that I do. I learned a long time ago that there's 5 key principles with what you do that make your money. Really only 2 or 3 are where you really, really make your money. The other 2 are just kind of fillers.
Okay.
I think if your list goes beyond 5, most people can't manage a 5. That's where chaos begins, right? And, you know, any business, any business, not beyond real estate, is they say we need a contact relationship management system, right? No, you don't. You need an Excel spreadsheet.
And okay, I'm
learn
going
how
to
to
stop
do
you
it.
there. So I had asked you this question, and my intent was to show these newer to the business agents how important it is to have something to keep track of all of your customers, when you
Correct.
spoke to them, how you met them, when you're going to get back to them, if you close them,
Yep.
and after you've closed them, how you're staying in contact with them.
I have all those forms. Yeah.
And I did that with the intent of what I preach for folks to use, but truly went back to the drawing board, back to the office, and went, oh shit, man, I'm using an Excel sheet too.
Well, here's the thing.
And I'm not joking.
It's a funny story when you look at it because people want to sell all these big
'Cause it's the
CRMs.
nuts and
They think
bolts.
it's automated, but dude, you
Yeah.
have columns. You can color code it. You can put
Sure.
X's if you've sent them letters, if you closed, if you did your follow up, if you sent them a thank you card. And I did it. Now let me guys teach you CRMs in all different fashions. You want to talk about that for a minute? Is that cool?
Yeah, by all means.
Okay, so I was in Vegas and I was doing this presentation, and this guy that's been a realtor for 30 years is just kind of like acting like he's just king prick. And sometimes when you come at me, I'm pretty chill. Like you saw it, I handled it good. Today I was just like, you know what, man, I'm gonna teach you a little something here, son. So he's like, oh, I own a brokerage and I got all this, you know. Anybody that starts with their accolades, you know they're shadowing because they're not successful. And in my mind, I'm like, if you're as good as you're telling me, then why the fuck you sitting here?
Yeah.
Number one, you wouldn't be you would be in my room because I can teach you a lot of shit.
Sure.
But the way you're coming at me is like, you're trying to like challenge me.
Yes. And for what reason?
And so he's like, I do open houses and I gather, you know, I get their phone numbers and then I have that and then I follow up and call them. Like, dude, if you called me about buying and selling or text me all the time, stupid shit, I'll never answer your phone. Okay. And I said, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you create like a call to action where it says scan here so we can connect on social media, scan here for more information, go to my YouTube channel.
Get them to one
scan
place.
Scan here's a video about who I am and who my team is, right? I mean, it's super simple. And I said, that's the number one mistake. He's like, well, I've got a great CRM that manages. And I said, okay, so you've been doing this 30 years. So you personally should be doing $50 to $70 million a year.
Why aren't you?
And he goes, well, I work on referral only. And I said, well, dude, after 30 years, how many deals did you close last year? He's like 23. I said, so your audience of all these thousands of homes that you possibly sold over 30 years are telling you, we don't want to work with you again.
I mean, bottom line.
And it's the truth factor. People are not wanting to work with you, number one. And I go, well, how do you stay in contact with them? Realtors, anybody, I'm telling you this is why your business does not grow. This is why it isn't in. We're a relationship building business. Why have a CRM? I'm like, what do you send them?
Bunch of canned stuff.
Bunch of fucking stupid shit about what the market's doing and all this other crap that you never read. People don't read emails like they used to. Read what? Social media posts, videos, stories, engaging, read a text message, whatever it is. I said, why don't you just get an Excel spreadsheet? You can chart it, you can color code it, you can see where send people cards, you can see if you've liked their post, you know, you're checking all the boxes. You're seeing, he's like, no, we have a great one. It's $1,500 a month. I'm like, dude, I'm going to save you $18,000 a year if you do it my way. He's like, no. And I said, okay. I said, well, let's focus on, you said you gather phone numbers. and you've got a CRM. Now, let me show you how I do mine. So my phone numbers, I'm going to get your phone number, which is great, but I'm also going to get you on social. Why? Because it's going to tell me if you're in a relationship, where you work, do you have family, do you have kids, what your hobbies, what your habits, what your interests are. The phone number is going to give you what? The phone number.
That's it.
I said, okay. And I said, so when you need all this information of all these clients that you've put into a CRM, and you got to export it, what does it get put into?
Excel spreadsheet.
So do you really need the $1,500
Ding, ding,
CMI?
ding, ding, ding.
You can create as many columns as you want. And
There's 18 grand back.
And how many times do people complain like, oh, I wish that the CRM had this, or I wish that the CRM had that? Well, guess what? On an Excel spreadsheet, you can add the fucking column.
And people that say
have
that,
multiple.
I wish that it had this, I wish that it had that. Those are the folks that I have found that aren't going to use it regardless if it did have that.
Here's what I'd use a CRM for if you had it in a relationship and you could categorize where your buyers and sellers are. To send informational videos about where they are in the process.
Sure.
That's what I would use it for. I said, dude,
And we do.
if you
You're
can set
correct.
up to automate that, hey, we know where the process is going to be in the buying and selling from the mortgage side. And when I coach people on this, people say, how do your clients do so much more volume? And I go, because they do video content.
Yeah.
And they send it out to your clients about like, hey, how do I DocuSign? How do I read the contract? How do I sign the contract? What do these part of the contract mean? How many times have you been asked in your career, when do I get my keys?
Plenty.
So why don't you have a video that you send out 7 to 10 days prior and then send it again saying, hey, this is the number one question I have. Please watch this video. Guess what? You don't have to get on the phone and do again.
Yeah, you don't have to say that.
So
And to attest to what he's saying, I do that. You know, when you said those things, it's like,
but
guys,
a lot of people don't.
No, they're either scared to get on the camera, they're scared to think what people will think about them in that instance, but yet they're still going to go through the process of answering that question every single day with that X amount of closings you have.
They'll never have time.
Right. And it started back when I discovered a thing called Loom. I don't know if you heard of it. Similar to Zoom, but you're able to record your screen and you talking about whatever the hell it is.
I
on
use
the screen.
Screencast-O-Matic.
Same concept. So closing disclosures have to go out to
Yep.
the borrower. We were getting a lot of folks calling to ask about their closing disclosure and what's on it and all this jazz. Okay, guys, pull the entire office in. Every time you get a closing disclosure and it's the final, I want you to pull it up, record yourself going over it in every line so that you've just eliminated all those phone calls. Send it to them, take the extra step to put it in an actual text message to send to them because it's easy. They'll click, boom, pops on. And if they have questions, they'll rewind. If they call you at that point, they almost feel dumb when you say, press rewind.
Well, I mean, it's no different than learning. Like I had somebody the other day, they're like, oh man, I didn't realize you had all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, I need to reposition that on my website. I need to reposition this. So when I get home, I'm going to refilm a different video and I'm going to have it all like, boom, this is what you get, boom, this is what you get, this is what you can do, and this is where you is, and this is what it includes, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to redo some different stuff. Why? Because somebody asked me a valid question. I took notes on it. See, I think the number one thing where people don't build success is your clients are asking you a question because they're saying, hey, I'd like to
need to know this, yeah.
and I want to know this. But as real estate agents, they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, but you get on the phone every time with them and answer the same question with the same client. Like, that's not value. These people are looking to understand, like, why do I need to give you $12,000 to sell my house or 20 or 30 and you have nothing and I got to call you all the time? That's no value. Like for me, that's why I built an integrated training platform on my buddy Bradley's site. There's 400 training videos from traditional to social media to lead follow-up to lead gen to building your business to everything. And I do a small subscription cost on that. Why? Because I want to help more people, number one. I was told by a coach, get 40 clients, they'll pay you $1,000 a month. That's 40 grand, it's $500,000. $500,000, in today's society, it's not bad. But I looked at him, I said, dude, that's the stupidest idea ever. Now, most people would think I'm crazy, right? Because I could have 40. You know why I didn't want to do that? I don't want to work 40 hours a week.
Makes sense.
I have kids.
Makes sense.
I want to hang out with my kids. I want to wear no pants like my son does at 3-year-old and think this is the greatest thing
Board
since
shorts
life.
and a smile, baby.
Right. I just want to walk around, hang out, and do that stuff. But I want to go golf. I want to travel. I want to be able to, like, after this, I can go the rest of my day and my phone doesn't blow up with people. People, I don't know. It's just.
Well, just to spotlight what you're saying, in essence, there's two things that people complain about in our industry, in this industry. I want to make more money and I want more time back. Well, are you doing the things that give you more time back? What we just talked about, the question that gets asked over and over, and you continue to answer it every single time. Record that one time. Put captions in there for whatever, all of that stuff, put it in a database and have it accessible and easy to get to the customer whenever it's needed,
Right.
because now you just saved yourself time. Now you got time, go make more money with that time.
Well, and see, I wasn't doing one-on-ones at the time.
Sure.
So one of my mentors, he I'm so fortunate, and I don't know how it is. I would tell my wife, I'm like, I don't know how these great people came into my life, but there had to be a purpose and a passion for it, right? And I think we need to pay more attention about people that are trying to help you in a mindset and helping you, that have been where you're trying to go. And he's like, dude, how many phone calls do you get a week about your coaching, of people that are in your coaching? And he goes, all this. And he's like, why are you answering the phone? That's not part of your package.
Right.
And I was like, shit, man, I never thought of it that way. And I'm like, so what do I need to do? He's like, just start with some one-on-ones, dude. So that way you have a price that if somebody wants to call and get a consultation with you, it's XYZ. So then I had that, and then people were calling, and I'm like, hey, I can't just keep answering your phone call. Like, it's not fair to my one-on-ones. So now I've got something to justify in a sense. And he's like, that's great. He goes, but also say, hey, do you show homes for free? Do you list homes for free? Okay, well, this is my job that pays, right? You're calling to get my knowledge.
Right.
At the time, I was like, it's $300 for an hour. Now I'm like, it's $500 every 30 minutes. You know, and then it constantly goes up. It's so ironic, because I had somebody call me the other day to say, hey, can you come out to San Diego? We got a big event we're going to do. You know, we've looked you up. Obviously, you know what you're talking about. You've been referred to us by, can't tell you how many people already that said, hey, get you here, because you kind of say it how it is too. And I think people need that in today's world. And I said, here's my fee. Here's what it's going to cost for me to come out. And they're like, okay, let me get back to you. And then they go, oh, well, we were just thinking, because we're giving you the opportunity that you'd come and you're not paying. I said, here's the irony of this right now. I said, do you sell houses for fucking free? Do you show homes for free? And I said, for you to get on a phone call with me and say, I'm giving you, they're giving you an opportunity to be a part of their transaction too. Do it for free. And I said, I humbly say, fuck no, and don't call me again. And I want you to think about what I just said to you. When your client the next time says, hey, will you list my house for $1,000? And you're going, no, I get 3%.
Yeah.
Just remember our conversation.
Absolutely.
What goes around comes around, bitch.
Yeah.
That's how that
and now
shit works.
And now they're not making 3% on some things moving
most people
forward.
aren't.
Everything's
Most people aren't.
changing, man.
Well, Arizona's where everything starts. Just,
Absolutely.
You know.
I
the reason
believe that.
Phoenix, and I'm ahead of the
There's
curve
a lot
on
of tech
people.
companies there, yeah.
Well, the main reason that Phoenix, Arizona is where all the iBuyers and everything started, that people don't understand, is we're an island.
Yeah.
Maricopa County is like an island, but we have all demographics of billionaires, millionaires,
Sure.
low income, how people move, the analytics of everything. You know, that's how Zillow figured it out. You type in on Zillow to search for homes, because people don't go to realtors' websites anymore.
Right.
Or realtor.com, and you type in the bedroom, the bath, what you can afford, and the price point, and you look in the area. So that's where they're like, oh, we're going to target. That's when they try to do the buy homes.
Absolutely.
But they flipped them like shit, dude. That's why it backfired on them. You got to have some nice shit.
Absolutely.
Not cheap-ass carpet in a home,
No,
right?
you're right. The good news for them is they were already a powerhouse, and that was a separate division.
I know the people that built that with them in Arizona. But
well, hook me up with those people, because they're going to be buying Review My Mortgage in a year.
But that's where they figured it out, is that people are going online. Like, the average person was going on to Zillow 88 times during a home buying process to find out information. Because why? They're realtors, loan officers. None of them had content out there to explain
all the
what's
things
an
they were
earnest
looking
money
at.
deposit.
Yeah.
What's the home warranty? How does the home inspection work? When do I get my keys? How do I get finance? How do I do all this shit? And realtors, like, we're always coached. And think about this. Get your phone to ring. No, get your phone to ring with a qualified person. How do you qualify them before they get on the home? Just like you. You looked me up. You're going to be like, I'm not just going to put anybody on my podcast,
Correct.
maybe, right? I'm going to research this person and see where it is and see where they're at before they do that. Now, obviously, I have more content. I got more things to come out. I get asked a lot of times to go do things. But now, you know, the cool part is, man, I can kind of pick and choose what I want. I'm at the point, it's like I told my wife, like, we're at the point where, like, I can do a little bit more. Like, I'm going to take a car the next couple months off and just chill with the fam.
Sure.
I'll probably go on some personal trips. I got some personal trips come up. I'm going to try to get to where we can go somewhere again. Just kind of get the hell out of here.
I like it.
But
I like it.
But I'm still going to be in my business. I'll do some Zooms.
Yeah.
I'll still do my coaching calls. I got a couple little events, but I've been traveling nonstop since the beginning of January.
Gotcha.
But also
the road show.
Well, it is. I call it the shit show.
It's guerrilla
on road.
marketing.
Shit show on a plane.
Hell yeah.
But here's the way I live my life into where I want it to do, where you circle back to, like, buying the Lamborghini of having the focus is, you know, we don't really budget out our life and budget out the events that we want to do. And I went to this amazing seminar, and one of the speakers talked about do a trip, one trip, you do many trips throughout the year, but do one trip that's so epic that you think and talk about it, and it creates a shit ton of conversation about it, right? So we just went and did Disneyland, but did the private tour, which is anywhere from $500 to $600 an hour, minimum 7 hours. You know, we had asked other families, hey, do you want to go? But they don't want to pony up the game. So I'm like, this is where ask somebody that question. Okay, this is super important. Ask somebody that question, and that'll tell you if they value time or not. Mm-hmm. They will tell you that answer right there. When you ask somebody and tell them how much it is, they would rather sit in line for 40 minutes, being at the happiest place on earth, apparently, that they thought, versus going right to the front of the line.
Well, it's the same concept as, telling the layman that they've got an opportunity, but they need to invest $500, and then they start asking you all these questions.
Right.
But you ask a mindset of a millionaire or an entrepreneur that is on their shit. I've got an opportunity for you to make millions, whatever the case.
Right.
But I need $10,000.
Right.
It's been sent.
I've done it, man.
It's been sent.
Yeah, I've done it. I 68,000
Does that make sense?
day, and then we shipped for me in a year, and I'm got 40 of it back, and the attorney's going to get the other part back.
There you go. So you get that concept.
No, man, I get it.
John, how old are you, man?
41.
Okay, good deal. I guessed 38. I'm 35.
Okay.
So I'm following and picking up the things that you're laying down, and I'm truly appreciative of you joining us today. And I learned a lot more than what I could get online, but at the same time, you are exactly who you're painting to be, and I love that. I appreciate that.
There's so many people that when you meet them, you're like, really, is that who you are? But when
Right.
people meet me, they're like, dude, you know, awesome to meet you. Like, yeah, man, awesome, you know.
Well,
And
I mean, that day you met me, I looked damn near the same.
I wear the same shirts, dude.
Hat, snapback, flip back. But I'm a lender. I got tattoos, all this jazz, but at the same time, I know my value at this point. I've created what I'm still building. And I can't.
Be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're in sales, I mean, don't dress like a slob,
Right.
but dress to where you're comfortable, to where you have the confidence.
and that's your target audience. I mean, you
don't
do
need to have a
business
suit and tie.
with who you like, know, and trust, and you've got to be relatable. They seek you out for business on social, back to all of your points, because they like you. They like your content. They want to get to know you. They want to know more about you. So when it comes to social, post you. Don't be some actor on there.
Other than being at a wedding, I don't know, babe, when's the last time I wore a suit? That actually I needed to wear a suit. See the look on her face? She's like,
did.
I don't know, man. Like, I just wear this. But it's be comfortable, be present. Like, I'm going to record a bunch of content and my stuff because I was on a suit when I did it. And now I'm like, that's not me anymore.
No.
But the reason it was me is because I was programmed in the corporate world that that's where I needed to be. And because they were paying me the salary, I had to be their bitch.
Yeah. In addition to, there's levels, and that was a learning milestone for you. You had to go through that.
Great learning
to
experience.
get to this.
It's a great learning experience, and I said this before on a couple podcasts, and it's really resonated, is that in our industry, okay, follow me, when a realtor switches a brokerage, a title company switches to a different company, you guys switch to a different company or whatever it is, we're congratulating them. But
Why?
You made a lateral move.
I've always thought that's funny.
I did that on my podcast the last time, and I'm like, people will switch companies. I'm like,
congratulations. You don't even
might
know
have-
why they moved.
You might have gotten a little more of a pay raise, maybe, but I'm like, you made a lateral move. You're not making any more
And
money.
you uprooted your business.
Somebody's still signing the check with your name not on it. And I see people all the time, oh, I made it here. Oh, I've got a huge announcement coming, everybody. Huge announcement coming. Cannot wait to announce this tomorrow. I've got this. I have people that be like, I have a huge announcement, and they're like, I'm going to be a brand ambassador for this company. I'm like, me and a company you don't know. I have a buddy of mine, think he's awesome. I think there's a lot of people awesome. And they're like, I had a huge announcement. I'm going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you don't own the building.
Right. And I believe that most people do not understand the concept of you. It's not the company. It's you.
Yeah, that's what
at the end of the day. Correct.
That's what I found out.
Especially in real estate, mortgage, title, you're doing business with that person. And I cannot stand when I have producers that I will hear say, well, the company, you knew the guidelines, you knew what you needed to do. What in the hell does the company have anything to do with your decision making and your ability to do your job well?
Yeah. I mean, it's just
Are you
keep
the
it
expert
simple.
or are you not?
Yeah, keep it simple, man.
I agree.
Simple wins. Just find out what you want to do in life. And I mean, like I said, I could press more and do more things and working on stuff. I'm just trying to diversify, but it takes, I had 2 years where, whatever the hell went on in the world that everybody thought was true, handcuffed me. So when you really look at it, I really had a year into my business of really being out and growing, and now I'm starting to do it. But I think until the end of this year, the people will really be more like, okay, let's get back to. I mean, people aren't paying attention. People don't pay attention to shit.
They're
bro.
not paying attention to
anything.
anything.
Oh my god, dude,
we're not going to go real AF
Yeah,
on them.
I'm not going to go left field, but
or right field, or whichever
if you can
way.
get a DUI and your wife is the Secretary of fucking State, and the next day you get out of it.
Yeah.
I think then everybody that got a DUI in the last year shouldn't fucking have to pay a fine either.
And
if you want my
apparently,
opinion.
college debt is now relieved.
I mean,
no,
all
we're
the people
not
that
even
couldn't
going to go down there. JC, grab the mic.
That's just where it is, though. But I mean, that's just the fun part of life.
I'm going to keep that stuff off of this, but I think this has been a great episode thus far. No, I think, you know what? We can wrap this thing up. So, Jon, is there anything in regards to tops? If you had a top tip to give to a realtor, what would that top tip be? Now, I know that there's plenty of tips out there, but what would you focus on? Hey, new to the business agent, this is what you should focus on, period.
Listen to your clients and answer their questions. You can't fail if you're listening to the people that make you money.
I love it. And to add to that, press record. How about that?
Yeah.
Press record.
Do video
Document it
content.
and spread it everywhere.
And be consistent and chart your activities. If you collect data and you listen to your people and you have good content, you can't. Dude, I have people that were making 100,000. They're gonna make $1 million this year, and they're just floored. They're just like, dude, I cannot believe with everything you said. They thought I was crazy.
Sure. You know what? We are crazy.
We are crazy, but yeah, I mean, that's what I tell anybody that. But also, I've been a very key on every activity you do. At the end of it, right? How can I have fun doing it? Because you may have started this podcast, but you want to have fun doing it. You want to do it with people.
I did it for therapy.
Yeah, well, I mean, you release, you
100%.
Talk, you know
Having
what I mean?
intellectual conversations with someone else that can relate and someone I can learn from, and each episode has been that.
Well, it's the philosophy of social. It's like you could have the same advice from two people, but the third people with the same advice, the way they deliver it, like kind of how I deliver it.
Sure.
Might be the turning point.
Yeah.
And some of the people when we were in that class today that were having success, they said it's because
that
I approached it,
moment.
even though they've already heard it, they didn't really believe it until I was like, dude, this is what can happen. And they were like, holy shit, really? So you just got to believe in yourself, but have fun doing it. I try to do everything and have fun.
I love that. I think if you're not having fun in whatever it is that you're doing, there's plenty of other things to do, and you may still have time. So, guys, Jon, first off, I want to thank you. Thank you for joining us on this. Thank you for sharing that insight to plenty of different things. We talked a whole lot of different topics on this episode. So you guys, if you believe that this episode could help someone in your life, around you, a friend, maybe somebody is doubting themselves, maybe someone is looking for that delivery to be told what they need to do in this manner from a man like Jon, share this. Like it, subscribe, all that jazz. But so much for my 2-month sabbatical. I'm back in it, guys, and we will catch you on the next one. Separate yourself widely from the pack moving forward. Is that something that you would be willing to have a discussion about?
Because they didn't get it. They were
probably
like,
didn't get it. Yeah.
To follow up with your clients, to generate more leads. You know what I mean?
Always check to make sure you're recording.
The record.
Yeah.
Clap, and I need to start over and all that jazz.
Oh, Lord.